Welcome everyone to Loriander. This is the show after the show where we talk about the show that just happened. This was our season finale for this arc, Shadow of the Spider Moon. It was so fun, and we were just talking backstage about like how on the edge of our seat all of us were the entire time. So, uh, who wants to go first? I mean, I think that this game was a lot of cat and mouse. There was a lot of memorable moments. If anyone wants to chime in with their favorite, like this happened and then I do this in response and then that happened. Let's go around the room and share. Does anyone want to go first? Or do I have to pick on someone?
I think you should pick on someone.
I was just acting out my favorite moment of me being stunned most of the time.
Episodes. I thought your camera froze.
No, I'm just really good at it now since that's all I get to do.
I know. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to take the two of you out.
But it's the perfect trap for Asena and I. We're completely powerless to your intellectual.
I mean, it's not like you didn't have a fucking dragon to pick you off the deck.
Well, we had a whole fairy tale book to choose from, but we just picked the least obvious one.
I would like to say, I was just talking with Joe about this during the break. We came up with some homebrew rules a while ago where we had a game with 9 people, and whenever a few, whatever these people would get.
Don't do that, by the way. Never do that.
Oh yeah. First of all, don't play games with 9 people, and if you've done that, don't share in the chat how you can make it work. Good for you. But for most people, it's not fun. Main reason being, even if you have the most excellent kind of combat things to make things go as quick as possible, it's going to take about 40 minutes to get through one turn. And what really sucks is when, like in this instance, if you have 3 rounds of combat and your character gets stunned in the first or second round, you're spending 40 minutes waiting for your turn to just make a saving throw against being stunned. And that's not fun. I don't care who you are. It's not a good time. We came up with some rules that you were able to do these really heroic things where you could spend either hit dice or actual hit points. You would expend resources that would bring you closer to death in order to allow you to do not a full turn, but a partial turn. You could like take an action, a bonus action, or move, something along those lines, just so you'd be able to do risk reward of like, you're not going to end the stun, paralyzed, whatever condition, but you can push through it whenever the hero's like, I'm moving through the goop in order to try to get where I'm going, and you can see the strain. And it's really difficult to implement those because it really, especially in this case, we have a player as our adversary. And obviously they're going to use their move that says, most of you don't get to play the game. And why wouldn't you do that? Especially in a party with like 9 people. You would use as many things that don't say take damage. You'd try to say, I would like to fight less of you. It just kind of comes down to that is not super fun. I'd be interested to see in Loriander where that goes in the future. If we're going to, especially with more guest stars we bring on, if we're going to be allowing things like that to continue, because it's just, in my opinion, not the best way to invite someone on to play and then not let them take actions when they're here. But I don't know.
Which is not on you, Bombay, by the way. That's
absolutely.
No.
It's but I actually have a really, really important and good reason why we didn't use those rules during this arc, which is that I forgot about them.
That's a valid point.
I also feel like now we're gonna have to like define how the stack of these cards work, so that way.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go back in and be like, okay, edit the text on this one. What does the language say on this one? This is a blue card. This is a white card.
That's a good call. That is a very good call.
We're in trouble for sure. But I was also thinking there was a moment where like me and like as a player, Abhora, like we realized we're doing nothing, so let's try to role play. And then you guys just cut us off talking about your damage. So
we're answering blasted.
Can't role play
which is not unusual for a budding new relationship. You guys have been talking online for a while, and then you finally meet face to face, and there were just sparks in the air, and it was just
That's true.
It was just really fun to see you guys I think like hit it off.
It's just scary because it's the long distance thing. Arangal is from Higher Soul. John isn't really from anywhere. Always on the move. It'd be really difficult for us to be able to get together. You know, it's just mind connections are nice, but you want to be able to have a real physical relationship. And I think we had a nice row before we parted ways. You know,
Yeah.
it was a good send off.
Good give and take.
But no, that's a really good point, though, Janessa. My apologies for cutting you off earlier. I think in my mind, I was looking at the time and responding to Joe's, "What are you doing?" And but you absolutely were trying to make something happen between you and Apora, and I do apologize for squashing that. Honestly, I didn't even realize.
No apologies needed. I was just transitioning. But yeah, totally get that. Okay, my next question goes to Bombay. When did you okay, so there was this moment in the episode where Arangal taunted John by asking him to choose which one of his companions should survive. And then John did the same thing to Arangal with the tentacles. Did you even hear that taunt? Or like
No.
so you're like really like meta in game, like I'm just gonna take off my headset.
Yeah, I had no idea what I just knew that you were saying something, and I was like, okay, we'll let it finish. We'll let it finish.
I think
And
you
then
did
put it
hear
on, and
the
you were
"I'll
still
let you
saying
keep
something.
two,"
I'm like,
though,
okay.
right? I think you put your headset on right when you got to the "I'll let you keep two," didn't you?
I put my headset on and I realized you were still saying. I'm like, oh my god, he's not done. And he put it
Which was amazing, by the way. One, I think that worked really cool, like as somebody watching the show. But also I tease Matt often about not having brevity. It's just like a little one of my love, like sort of things that I send to him. So I think that played into that sort of theme of Coriander Society as well, which I don't know if you knew. So I wanted to commend you on that.
It also works for the character who is absolutely like Arangal. Bombay was playing Arangal as just above it all, right? Like I don't care what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're a meat puppet.
Yeah.
People shit on John all the time. It was right, and it was in character, in universe, in character, in everything.
Oh.
Okay. Does anybody else have another favorite moment of like this happened and then this happened? Because I had some ready that I didn't get to use.
I loved that Bombay raised the stakes again by taking the bomb and saying, okay, yeah, let's run with this. It's just I was just like, yes, let's fucking destroy everything.
So we had a plan. So earlier the plan was that I would get all of you in the ship, and then I would just use plane shift and leave. And the ship was rigged to crash into the moon.
That would have been
That's
cool.
No, I forget. Was it rigged to crash into this moon they were on, or into the world below?
Into the world, doesn't matter. It was just rigged to crash into the like a near celestial object.
But not. It was a one-way ticket to get the hell off my moon.
Yes,
that was the plan.
Yeah. So as soon as y'all got on, and then I was like, oh yeah, we can also do this if the bomb goes off. Like you'll still, whatever. But then Arangal got greedy and he wanted like I could have left as soon as the three of you gotten on. I could have fucking bailed because you couldn't use any spells because you had that thing going on. So I could have just used plane shift or whatever.
That was such a golden opportunity with no counter spell.
Okay, I want to chime in on top because I would say exactly that. My favorite moment is when you said, I could do whatever I want right now, but I'm going to play with my food. And then you went into that huge tangent of like, I'm going to F you up. I'm going to F you up. I'm going to F you up. And John, you get to choose. Like that was in a bad guy thing. That's such like a flex. It's like, oh, I have all the cards and I absolutely could just say, peace out. I'm fine. But I'm going to do that villainous thing by just saying, no, I'm going to keep pushing the envelope.
Bombay, the moment you said that, I was like, well, Arangal's dead.
For the first time in my life, I empathize with the likes of Voldemort, and Saruman, and Palpatine. Because as soon I also got really greedy because when y'all were flying up and you used this celestial weapon, I was like, oh, that's what I want. I'm like, let me just grab that on my way out. Like thank you.
Oh, that would have sucked. Oh my god, that would have sucked. That would have been
If
so
you
bad.
stole Krontaka and
No.
escaped with your life, that
No.
is the most certain way to get invited back onto the show.
I'm gonna say, like,
Yeah.
no, earlier I was gonna say, if you literally kill the friends or take something, like if John lives, that is the surefire way to assign that like John's going to hunt you down forever. You don't take his gun and you don't kill his friend. That would have been immediate, like, oh, okay, well, I know what the next arc is because I has to be.
For me, I
Ah.
was really shocked at the tension of, do you want me to hurt Asena? Do you want me to hurt, what was the second option?
Asena,
Chester or Flig.
Ahura, or just give me the gun.
It was Flig. I think he
Yeah.
skipped
Flig.
over Chester. Flig, or
Chester was the last
gun.
one, I think. Yeah.
Chester was
I
not
did
in the
not-
3.
Chester,
Was not?
I
Are
did
you
not care
sure?
about the cat.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
Chester was
okay.
not in the 3. It was the gun. And that was like my realization, like even as a player, like, oh my god, John loves his gun so much that if he lost it, this would be the worst thing. Not the worst thing, because he's already lost his powers before, but
So I think we can all agree the best part was that declaration from Arengol and what
then-
the implications were.
And then if you had chosen your gun over
I know.
Yeah.
I was waiting. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
over one of us, we would have been. Well, I wouldn't have been too hurt. But if you had chosen your gun and me over Asena, I would have
Ooh.
felt bad for you, honey. I would have said something.
no, Asena
so
was,
here-
yeah, that's a good one. You go, Matt.
From a meta perspective, from a absolute meta, like Matt perspective, Matt looking at the scope of things would absolutely say, no, I'm keeping Asena in the gun because this is the last episode. Abhorra's already been just laughing in the face of death. And so, yeah, if this is our final episode, like if we ever bring Abhorra back, which I would love to bring Abhorra and Bombay back, we could have a different character. I would absolutely say, no, keep the gun, keep Asena. John, however, John would absolutely preference Asena over anything. Krontaka is his best friend, has been with him ever since he's left Earth and has been on this decade-plus long journey. But his friends mean more to him than anything. And even though Krontaka is a friend, he's already lost Krontaka once during this adventure, and Asena helped John get him back. And what it boils down to is Krontaka's a really cool weapon, but it's just that. It's a not even fully sentient weapon. It's an empathetic weapon. And John has a very close connection to that. But Asena means probably more to John than any other character in the story. Over the last 100+ episodes he's been playing, there's NPCs that John's known for ever since Joe and I were playing, literally a decade ago.
Yeah,
That
2013.
have meant so much to him. But I mean, Janessa and I have been playing this game for almost 3 years now. And Asena and John have been together through thick and thin, through multiple variations of our party. So yes, John,
right now, like,
if he was given a
yummy.
choice from 2 to 3, he would have absolutely saved Asena. And John is such a freaking. So here's the thing: old John would have just gotten rid of Ahura. Like, yeah, sure, whatever. You're a new ally. You're not. I haven't built enough.
And I was gonna betray you anyway. So
I know,
it's
I
okay.
know. But here's the thing: John is now he's grown to a place where he's gone from hell to heaven, literally, and I think he really values life over anything else. And if there's a chance he could get Krontaka back, he would absolutely take it. But if it means the cost of an actual person's life, if John was literally in a this or die, he probably would have given up Krontaka, and he would not have been happy about it.
So
Which is
if it
why-
wasn't for the fact that John was like, no, I can win this.
If I literally when Janessa messaged me like, you look like you're checked out, you look like you're so like lost right now, I was like, I'm furiously looking for anything I could do. And because I was like, I can't cast spells, I can't cast go, I can't collect $200, all I can do is shoot. He's getting resistance to damage. That doesn't really matter. But wait a minute, we're hundreds of feet in the air, and this is a mind flayer, and though they're extremely powerful, there's a very specific instance in which they're overpowered. And right now John's yoked out. I could throw him off the ship. I was like, it has to work. If that doesn't work, we're done. And John will give up the gun. But in any other. Plus, even if I give up the gun, who trusts a mind flayer? You could save 2 of them.
You were gonna
Like,
save
no.
I
it
would
for
have
one
honestly.
round.
He just like Aurangzeb would have just fucking taken the gun and left because he doesn't care. The plan was to kill the three of you die in the crash anyway.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, Matt
That's
absolutely would have let
wild.
Abhora go, but John would have given the gun away, and I would have talked to Joe and said, "Please let me try to get it back at some point," because that gun means so much to John and to me. But
So
not enough to
super
save
sweet.
somebody. Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Joe?
you go ahead. You're running the show.
I was just gonna say that that's super sweet. I think similar to how you separate your character and player, I think that's something Janessa knows, but Asena does not know. Asena comes from, a line of like lone wolves, right? And so like, yes, she has pact with them, but like John is one of her first friends and only humans that she's gotten to know. So I think that she's like is kind of clueless. She doesn't know how this
We
works.
picked up on that.
Yeah. So when it comes to these social relationships, like I just think that she is not understanding humanity. And that's one of the reasons too why she is like kills things without realizing it. So yeah,
I feel like Asana is also pretty ride or die, right?
Yeah, she definitely is. So if you can pact into that, like if you can tap into the instinctual need to protect, then yes. But I don't think that she knows that John would pick her over a gun.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to Abhora and Bombay for jumping into this campaign with all of our bullshit cards and pay to win stuff. And
Yeah. Like there was.
Did you warn them, by the way?
No.
not sufficient. Obviously, not sufficiently. It was obviously insufficient.
I was at some point in this game. I was like, "What else do they have?" Like when you pulled out the manacles or whatever the shackles, I was like, "Okay, cool, whatever."
So
then, like, things just kept...
I have a magic kazoo that I can play and summon a genie.
So there's 2 things going on there, right? The first, well, really 3 things. The first thing is the Streamloots system, where chat can just suddenly say, and now this happens. Because Bombay's been super diligent about like reading her character sheets and taking a look at like what and the spells and all the rules and stuff. And then suddenly somebody's like, yeah, this card. So I obviously did not do a sufficient job of prepping on that one. And also, so like the dragon, the manacles, all these powers and stuff. I also appreciate the 2 of you jumping into a show we've been doing for over 100 episodes that has built up a ridiculous amount of backstory to which and we don't ask you to like learn all of it because that would be silly, but you still have to deal with all of it. And so I am very grateful for your patience and jumping in the deep end with us.
That was fun.
Yeah, no, I like a good challenge to use my $500 improv class skills.
Weaponize your BFA.
And yes. No, but I gotta hand it to Bombay for really, like, you may say that the character is overpowered, but you had a lot stacked against you. They had like an endless arsenal of magic nonsense, and you really were strategic with a lot of your plays, and I really admire that. So
That's
good
the
on
thing,
you, nerd.
Since we were giving accolades, I want to take a chance, since I know that we're getting close to the end of our thing, but to both of you who joined us, Abhora, you've been here every step of the way, and Bombay, you were sprinkled in early to mid and have been here now since the mid now for the entirety of our episodes. Abhora, you had a lot, like Joe was saying, to deal with in regards to backstory, bringing yourself into this world and trying to pass yourself off with very little prep time as this very experienced captain in Pyre Soul. And though I know that you have come out to say that you were doing a lot of it impromptu, and as you just said, paying for your improv class. I really felt like you made your character seem like they actually did belong, even though it's maybe some things. Like there was this one part you were talking about a world of centipede aliens, which I don't think Joe's ever mentioned centipede aliens in Pyre Soul.
That's canon now.
It's canon now. Well, because even you say it with an air of gravitas, everything that you do. Part of it was the character, obviously, that you were playing, but you did everything with such a level of surety, even when you likely maybe weren't as sure about what you were doing. It really seemed like to me Captain Flag was in control, even when the chips were obviously stacked against you. I know that you were kind of playing up this parody of Zep Brannigan, but honestly, you felt more like a Captain Jack Sparrow to me. That was
Right?
that was. I think you played an incredible character that was not afraid of death and did everything they could to just have the most fun in their situation, and that I think is more than commendable. That was so much fun to play with. And Bombay, I mean, obviously, were amazing. Not just with how you played Arangol, it was obvious that you had a breadth of knowledge about your character and their abilities. You even called me out on almost missing one of mine. You obviously have a great game sense, and you were able to roll with the punches in so many ways, add this level of this dynamic tension by testing out an adversary for the first time ever on Coriander, which is, from what it seems like, going to be a mainstay for our show.
Yeah.
You single-handedly were able to bring to light how amazing it is to have a point of view character outside of the frame of our party. Really kind of bringing into terms, I know that Janessa had written down something for us earlier, what it means to be a party. Like, you were with us, but against us. And though we're all working together to tell a story, it was really amazing to see another character that wasn't controlled by our game master, that was working towards us, but also helping to further the story. So thank you for that in such a huge way.
Thank you for having me. This was I think I mentioned this in the early game. It was so nice. It's so nice to play D&D with people who know their shit. You know, because it's like everyone's on their A game and everyone's like, you know, bringing it. It's really fun, and like it's like it's I think playing an enemy allowed us to like legalize PvP. You know, otherwise it usually leads to like what is happening. You know, this was really like we could the stakes, like you could do whatever you wanted to, because the goal was to destroy each other. So that was really fun. I wish only like I got to interact more with bots, because I feel like a lot of the sessions, like in the first few episodes when we kidnapped the captain, and then you and I had always had this link. I feel like bots. If I'd known, I would have killed that dragon. If I'd known you better.
Sorry, my internet cut out at the worst time.
But
I agree though. Like, I wish that we had more to connect with. Maybe that means that Erangel is not defeated and is gonna have to come back for another thing.
No, his twin brother, right? That's what you said.
Yes.
Aaron.
Aaron Mall. Darth
Aaron
Aaron
Mall.
Mall.
One thing that I want to touch on about Asena is that her like arch nemesis in the beginning of this show, when it was just her world of Yord, did a lot of psychic damage to her. So she is actually extremely weak to that. So I think she kind of skated by avoiding it. But you know, maybe that's a really good arc if we were to revisit this, because she would be messed up.
regardless of whether Arangol or Arangol II makes an appearance, Bombay and Ivora would absolutely love to have both of you back in any capacity.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to. This was so much fun, and I really look forward to expanding different kinds of characters to explore. Yeah, no, and you've been a phenomenal dungeon master, always really patient with us and organized, and always seeking to find a solution to what we want to do instead of, just kind of mitigating what's happening. So really appreciate that. You make the game very exciting. So I would definitely come back anytime that you have me.
When you work with creative, brilliant people, you do what you can to enable them to be that.
Cool.
All right, enough of this love fest. Anything else?
I know.
Yeah, ew.
I have to end the show because everybody's dying to know. Apora, what side was Captain Flig on, really? What was going to happen?
Why the most important side? His own side of justice and integrity and charisma and doing it for the little guy and so on and so forth, and for valor and glory and dignity and money and women and drugs and
Oh my gosh.
anything else in this stream of consciousness that is my brain.
Mate, is Slanesh a deity in this world? Because if so, I think I know what Captain Flig.
There are Slaanesh adjacent deities we could work with.
You know, I had this thing that I was talking to Janessa about really early on, where I was like, I wonder if Captain Flig is either a dark god or a worshiper of a dark god. That all of this, it's not that they're just running around being kooky. It's that they either don't care about this and they're just having fun, or they have greater goals that they're working towards, that this is just but a minor stepping stone to.
My motivations are beyond your understanding.
Now give me the blow.
Look it up.
But
I'll
also
close
like,
it.
just
Oh.
thank you so much for allowing us to like play with you. We don't get to do these kind of things. So this was always it was very like I just want to say thank you for giving us the space and the time and all of that.
It was a pleasure
More.
having you folks.
It was super great. We enjoyed it so much. Are we allowed to talk about the thing we can't talk about?
I was gonna ask if we could plug that. Yeah.
Like a little tease?
Yes. What are we talking about? The next one?
No, the thing.
Both. Next
No,
season
whatever
of
you're talking.
Loriander
Whatever you're talking about.
Society.
Yes.
And whatever you guys last time we talked on the show, we talked about filming.
Yes,
Yeah.
that one. Yes.
Bombay, where do we stand with talking about that yet?
We can I think around Halloween you should keep an eye out on Caster and Castles on our socials. There'll be a bunch of really cool stuff. We're aiming for a Halloween launch.
So cool. Okay. So we'll stay tuned for that. To close this one out, I will leave it to our wonderful DM to give us a recap, but maybe
Oh
also
dear God.
a coming next time in season 2 of Coriander Society.
Okay, so in the finale of Shadow of the Spider Moon, the rebellion of the Kytines reached its pinnacle when all the noble houses of the Drow turned on each other. Queen White Clara is dead. High Priestess Vuthonus is dead. Royal Consort Theom is dead. And only 2 of the powerful houses, the Ileliora and the Planeld houses, remain. Will they be able to recover from the ashes of this uprising? Our heroes don't know, don't care, they left. Because they had bigger fish to fry, calamari to be specific, as John helped Captain Flig escape from the clutches of Arengol, who was at that very moment on board that ship. They sent forth and headed towards the ship themselves. Captain Flig found a bomb on board and threatened to blow up the ship and set it off, and then lit it and dove out the window and was saved from death by John and Asena, who had just arrived. Arengol said, great, all according to plan, come on board the ship. They teleported on board the ship and came face to face for the first time. Arengol used his telekinetic powers, his psychic powers, to incapacitate everybody except John, and then asked him, pick one of your friends to die or give me your gun. John did not like this. He dive-bombed Arengol over the side, 250 feet below. A bloody struggle engaged, which ended with Arengol refusing to negotiate with this pitiful human and dying far down below. The ship ended up crashing because of the bomb that went off. Captain Flig was knocked unconscious, and the poison-addled form of Glebnor was last seen dragging him into the darkness. But John and Asena have completed their mission. Arengol is dead. The Drow war machine is in shambles. But there's still a lot of things to find out on our next time we come back to this world. Tune back in our next arc of Coriander Society starts on Halloween, actually. On Halloween. Because we've got some vacations coming up. We are going to the weird west world of Perdition Flats. So be sure to stay tuned. Thank you so much to our guest stars. Thank you, everyone else. Pods, I'm not in charge. You go ahead.
Thank you, everyone. And with that, another chapter closes. This case is closed.